Hello YouTube, finally getting around to the second part of my Blu-ray collection update. I've got still a fair amount to get through, so this is probably going to be another long video, but let's get to it. First up, we've got Sucker Punch, the extended cut. Very mixed opinion on this film. I personally thought it was great. I thought it was a very good film, probably one of the best of last year, but a lot of people didn't. A lot of people thought it was utter shit. So obviously you need to really watch it to get your own opinion on it. A very divisive film, but I thought it was good. If you like Zack Snyder's other films like 300 or anything, you probably end up liking this. Next is another fairly divisive film, Yogi Bear, the live action version. I was never really a fan of the cartoon series, Hanna-Barbera one, so I didn't really have anything to base my opinion on this off. I thought this was alright for a cheap kids film. Don't think the budget for this is very high. Yeah, I don't think it was as bad as most people said it was. It wasn't terrible anyway. Next we have March of the Penguins, the best documentary feature 2005. It's a very good film if you're interested in animals, but the Blu-ray doesn't really look that good, I don't think, which is strange because most Blu-rays look really good, like nature documentaries, but for some reason this looks really grainy and crap, so not really worth getting on Blu-ray unless you find it cheap to get the DVD. Next we've got Buried, the horror film with Ryan Reynolds. I thought this was good. A lot of people thought it was like one of the best horror films ever made, but I wouldn't go quite that far. It was good, but I probably wouldn't watch it again. Worth about £5 if you find it cheap. I suppose it's better if you're like claustrophobic, because that's the whole point of the film. And so I'm not really claustrophobic, so it didn't really get me in the same way it did a lot of people. But worth watching anyway. Next we have Hobo with a Shotgun. I thought this was a very good film, really enjoyed this. A lot of good gore scenes in it and violence. It's sort of meant to be a bit crap, so you can't really go into expecting an action epic or something, because it's meant to be a crap B movie. But if you go into it expecting a crap B movie, then you're gonna love it. Next we have Let the Right One In. What language is this? What language is it? I can't remember which country this film was made in, but this is the original version of the film Let Me In, which is the American remake that was released in 2010, I think. I personally prefer this version over the American version, but they are both good films. Definitely check them both out if you're a horror fan. Next I've got District 13, the French free-running film. I've got the sequel somewhere as well, but for some reason it's not next in the list. This is a very good film. All the effects and stunts and stuff are done by actual actors. There's no like CGI or anything, which is quite impressive. Yeah, definitely worth a watch. It is in French, but I think there's an English dub on it, but I'm not sure. I watched the French version. Next we have one that I picked up really cheaply in CEX for £2, which is Henry's Crime, the latest Keanu Reeves film, I think. I haven't actually watched this yet, but it's only £2 and it sounds alright. It doesn't sound terrible anyway, so I'll give this a watch over the next few days, hopefully it'll be worth £2. I don't see why it wouldn't. Here is District 13 Ultimatum, the sequel to the film that I just showed you. Very nice 3D sort of slipcover here, and this is basically more the same. If you loved the first one, then you're going to love this. Next we have The Final Destination in 3D, the 2-disc special edition. This is probably the worst of the Final Destination franchise. It's not very good at all. It's a few good death scenes, and I went to see this at the cinema, but I didn't watch the 3D version, so I'm not sure how good the 3D effects were. So, I'm not watching bloody red and blue 3D. They can fuck off. Next we have the In-Betweeners movie, the extended 18 certificate cut. This is a very funny film. I didn't think it was quite as good as the TV series. I thought it was sort of a downgrade, but definitely worth watching. And definitely try and get the Blu-ray, because you get the 18 certificate cut with it, which you don't get in the DVD version. Next we have another one that I got very cheaply, Larry Crown. I saw this on the cinema and I remember enjoying it, but I can't actually remember any of the film, so it's not that good. But I remember coming out of the cinema and thinking that was alright. So if you can find it cheap, this cost me £2.50, I think. Obviously it's a rental copy, so that's probably why I got it cheap. If you can find it cheap, definitely give it a watch. It's an alright film. Next we have Harold and Kumar Escape from Guantanamo Bay. the second in the trilogy of Harold and Kumar's. For some reason this is the only one that's actually been released on Blu-ray in the UK. The first one just was an MGM film, so that's probably why they got loads of rights issues with that. And the third one, they just haven't bothered to release it at all for some reason, even though it came out in America about 6 months ago. So I'm hoping the third one eventually comes out on Blu-ray. If it doesn't, then I'll just try and get the American version from somewhere. Next we have another classic comedy film, Dumb and Dumber, the uncut version, which is actually worse than the theatrical edition. They basically had about 5 minutes, I think, of pointless scenes that aren't really very funny at all. But it doesn't cut anything out, so you still get all the classic scenes and stuff in there, so it's still worth getting on Blu-ray. Transfer is quite good for an old film from like 1994, I think this was released, so definitely worth a buy. Next we have an action film, Solomon Kane, which I remember going to see on the cinema, but again I can't actually remember any details of the film. I remember being quite good, but I thought it was a bit. I thought it dragged on a bit towards like the end. I thought it could have been a bit like more tight, if you get me, more fast paced, if you get me drift. But yeah, it's worth a watch. Next we have 21 Jump Street, which is a comedy film released earlier this year. I personally think it's the second best comedy film released this year, behind Ted, which is in cinemas now. I went to see this 3 times, I think, in the cinema. Very, very funny film. I was a bit wary going into it because I don't really like Jonah Hill. I never found him funny at all, but he's very funny in this, so give this a watch. Next we have Casino Royale, the deluxe edition. Spectacular 2-disc set, hours of special features and collector's booklet. I got this quite cheap, about £5 I think, and I think this is out of print now, so it's a bit harder to find. It comes in nice sort of packaging, I think that's called. And very good film. Don't think, in fact, it might be one of the best Bond films, but I'm not sure. I don't think it's the best, but 10,000 times better than Quantum of Solace, which is a bit shit. Here's Hoping Skyfall was actually quite good. And I think, in fact no it isn't, the DVD deluxe edition actually has the uncut version of the film on it. But for some reason the Blu-ray is the cut version, even though they both have the same certificate, so that's a bit odd. Next we have Michael Jackson's This Is It, the documentary released to cash in on his death. I remember wanting to see this on the cinema, but I didn't get the chance. It is a very interesting documentary about, like, even if you're like not particularly a fan of Michael Jackson, it's got nice insights into like the record label and stuff. So I can't remember. I think I got this really cheap as well. This is like £2 from HMV, I think. So yeah, worth a watch. Next we have The Water Horse, Legend of the Deep. This is a fantasy film from 2008, I think. I might have gone to see this at the cinema, but I'm not sure. But I've seen it on Blu-ray recently, and it is a very good film. If you're into like children's fantasy stuff, like I'm trying to think of some similar films to it. Like Bridge to Terabithia would be a sort of similar film, that was sort of fantasy one. The Narnia films, any of them, you probably enjoy this. A lot of people didn't like it because it got sort of like a lot darker, more serious towards the end. It goes from like a light-hearted family film to like a serious sort of action drama, but I quite like that sort of fit. Next we have the remake of The Karate Kid with Jaden Smith and Jackie Chan. Obviously not a patch on the original Karate Kid, but still quite a good film. I don't really like Jaden Smith at all. I've never really been a fan of him. He was in that film with Will Smith on the Jaden. He was in. I can't remember the name of it. I'll think of it later. But yeah, I don't like Jaden Smith. But Jackie Chan sort of made the film for me, so it made it worthwhile. I just remembered it was The Pursuit of Happiness that he was in with his dad, and I didn't really like that film at all. So that's that mystery solved. Next one is The Dark Crystal, the Jim Henson film from the 80s, and I've also got Labyrinth, so I've got a sort of Jim Henson double bill here. Both very, very good films. I have a lot of 80s retro flavour to them. Quite cheesy. They don't really hold up well today, but good films if you're into like puppetry and stuff. The behind the scenes stuff on them is very interesting, documentaries and stuff, so it's worth getting the Blu-rays. Next we have Carnage, which is a filmed by Roman Polanski, who is a paedophile, I think, so that's not really pleasant. But this is his latest film. I went to see this at the cinema, not my local cinema, because it's too indie for them to show, so I went to the Pig's House in Liverpool to see this, and it is quite a funny film. It's all set in one room, so it's not exactly the most visually interesting film, but it is quite funny, worth a watch if you find it cheap. Next I've got another comedy film, Get Him to the Greek, with Jonah Hill and Russell Brand. This is quite a funny film. Again, Russell Brand probably makes it for me. I don't really like Jonah Hill that much. I think this has got the extended cut on it. Yeah, it does. Includes theatrical and extended movie versions, which is good because I got this for like £2. So, and there is a version that has extended cut plastered over the top of it. So I thought I was getting like a cheaper version, but no, it's the same disc. Next film is 4321. 4 Girls, 3 Days, 2 Cities, 1 Chance, to give its full title. British sort of chav urban thriller film. I remember going to see this at the cinema and thinking it was quite good. I don't think I've actually watched it on Blu-ray. I got it for cheap. I don't think I bothered watching it, so I might rewatch this time. I remember quite enjoying it when I saw it in the cinema. Next up, classic childhood film, Babe, Pig in the City. I'm going to be controversial here and say that I massively preferred Pig in the City over the original Babe. Just thought it was a more interesting sort of fast-paced film, and it's always been like that. I never really liked the first Babe when I was a kid. I've always liked this, so I don't know, maybe I'm just weird. Next we have Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the Level Up Collector's Edition. This was released in 2010, I think. This is one of my favourite films from that year. I really like this film. It's got a lot of video game sort of like nerd references and stuff in it, so if you're a geek like me, then you'll definitely enjoy this. Give it a watch. Next up we have Fast and Furious 5, that's how you pronounce it. It's one of the best action films in recent years, I think. I really enjoyed this, which is strange because I never really got into the first 4 Fast and Furiouses, if that's the plural of them. The first one was quite good, the second one was a bit dodgy, Tokyo Drift was utter shit, and the 4th one was even worse. So they definitely did something to improve this. Definitely give it a watch, even if you didn't like the first 4, like I didn't. I really enjoyed this, and you can also find it quite cheap now, like a £5. That's for the triple play edition with the slipcase, so definitely give this a watch. Next we have Kick-Ass. Got to be one of the best superhero films I've ever seen, I think. Really enjoyed this. Went to see it on the cinema and walked out thinking that was fucking amazing. I think it's just because it's so much different from like all the other superhero films. Like, it's almost violent for a start, and it's definitely my favourite superhero film of all time, I think. Kick-Ass. If you haven't seen it, definitely go down and give this a watch now. Right now, I mean, like, go down, turn off this fucking video and go and watch this film. Next we have a documentary, Senna, which I saw on the one-day special that they did on Cineworld Cinemas last year. This is a very good film. Even though I'm not really into Formula 1 that much, I really enjoyed this. Thought this was a really interesting documentary about the life of Ayrton Senna. I wouldn't really recommend getting it on Blu-ray, because obviously most of it's made up of old camcorder footage and TV broadcasting and stuff. There's not really much high definition in it, but definitely give it a watch on DVD. Next up we have classic, one of the best films of all time, of course, Jurassic Park. Steven Spielberg's classic from 1994, I think this was released. This is the Universal 100th Anniversary Edition, so you're meant to point your iPhone at the cover and apparently a dinosaur comes out of it and appears on your phone screen, but it's not compatible with my iPhone, so it's just a bit shit, isn't it? But definitely one of the best films of all time, probably Spielberg's best film, I think. And if you haven't seen it, you're obviously living under a cave or something. Don't bother watching the 2 sequels because they're nowhere near as good, which is why I actually waited for the first film to come out on its own, because they originally released it in a trilogy box set, but I didn't want the 2 sequels because shit, so I waited for them to deliver, and finally they gave me a single version. Next up we have a documentary, The Crimson Ring, Mystery of the Flamingos. I'm not very good at pronunciation today. Very interesting nature documentary about flamingos, obviously, by Disney, they've done a few nature documentaries. I think one of them was African Cats, which is coming out on Blu-Ray soon. I think this is the only Disney documentary that I've seen though, but this is quite good, so if they're all the same then she'll be all quite good. It does have one of the funniest consumer advice that I've ever seen. It contains scenes of flamingo chicks in distress, so you're getting some serious shit there. I got this for free off Disney Movie Awards for 700 points I think, so not bad at all. Next we have Tron Legacy, the Disney sci-fi sequel. I want to try and get the original Tron on Blu-ray sometime, but I'm having trouble finding it on its own. I can find it in double pack with Tron Legacy, but I've already got Tron Legacy, so there's no point in me getting the same film twice. So I thought this is very good. I'm not sure. I think I did prefer this over the original Tron. The original Tron's a classic, obviously, but I reckon this was better. Obviously, the effects were a hell of a lot better. It's definitely worth getting on Blu-ray. Next up is Secretariat. This is another one that I got for free off Disney's Movie Awards scheme. This is like a drama film about some woman and a horse in America. I personally enjoyed it. It's not. I probably wouldn't watch it again, but I enjoyed watching it. It's a good, cheesy, uplifting animal drama film. Next up we have the first Chronicles of Narnia film, The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, which I think is another one that I got free off Disney's awards scheme actually. Good film. I don't think I've actually seen Prince Caspian. I've seen the third one that was released by 20th Century Fox, and that was quite good, but this is my favourite. I've not seen Prince Caspian obviously, so I've got to get on to watching that someday, but so far this is my favourite of the Narnia films. Next we've got Disney's Dinosaur, which is one of the first films to be done in like photorealistic CGI I think. The effects in this were like amazing back when it was first released. They're a bit dated now, but they do still look quite good on Blu-ray. Quite a good film. I remember enjoying it more when I was younger. I don't think it's quite as good now as when you were like younger, and I was really into dinosaurs. So, but yeah, still worth getting. Next up we have Where the Wild Things Are, the adaptation of the book by Spike Jonze. I think that's how I pronounce his name. I really hope this would do better than it did. This is a really good film. I remember seeing this in the cinema and it was pretty much empty. There was like me and like 3 other people there, and that was on release day. So it didn't do very well at all. It was a massive box office flop. And I think that's partly due to the marketing. They marketed it as a kids film, but it's not really a kids film. I don't think kids would enjoy this that much. It's quite slow moving and boring stuff. It's not really got the fancy elements and stuff to it that the trailers made it look like it had. So the marketing wasn't very good, but it's a very good film. Definitely give it a watch. Next we have Red, Retired and Extremely Dangerous. I think that's what it is. I can't remember, but I think that's what it is. It's not too good. I was hoping it would be better than it was, because you got all these great actors, but it never really works with them, if you get me drift. Sort of drags in the middle and the ending's a bit cliched and shit. So not really. I wouldn't really recommend this. Maybe a rent. I don't know. They're probably making a sequel which I'm probably not going to see. Next is another very good film, The Devil's Double. Comes in a lovely black Blu-ray case. I'm not sure why that is, but it's nice anyway. And another like 3D lenticular case, I think this is called. All the bullets sort of in 3D. Very, very good film. I remember seeing this on the cinema on the opening day, Wednesday, and I remember really enjoying it. Dominic Cooper, obviously really good actor, playing 2 roles at once. Definitely recommend this. Next up we have another very divisive film, Transformers Dark of the Moon on Triple Play. Personally I thought this was much better than Revenge of the Fallen, the second one, but not as good as the first film or the animated one from the 80s. It's quite a good film, a bit too long. I don't really like the 150-minute runtime. It got a bit boring towards the end. I remember thinking, oh, I'll get on with it in the cinema. But the effects absolutely amazing, as always, and if you're a fan of Transformers you probably love it. So give it a watch, give it a rent obviously, because it's a bit of a Marmite film, love it or hate it. Next we have 127 Hours by Danny Boyle, who recently did the Olympics opening ceremony. I saw this on the cinema quite a few times, I think 3 or 4 times at least. Very good film. I thought it was a bit too short, which is a bit odd because pretty much the entire film is just him trapped under a rock. But I thought this could have been longer. It's like, how long is it? The run time anyway. Yeah, there you go, 8 to 9 minutes. I thought it could have been a lot longer than that. But a very good film. I reckon probably one of the best of last year. I think. Not really sure, but yeah, I think it's definitely in my top 10 of last year. Next we have The Adjustment Bureau with Matt Damon and Emily Blunt. I didn't really see many reviews of this. This all just came and went off the cinema. It was in my local cinema for about 2 weeks and just went in and got to DVD really quickly. I remember quite enjoying it. I've not actually rewatched it since on Blu-ray, but I remember enjoying it on the cinema, so should be good on Blu-ray. Next we have Slumdog Millionaire, another Danny Boyle film. It's quite a good film. I didn't think it was as good as people said it was. I thought it was a bit overhyped. Like, for starters, the feel-good film of the decade is not the quote I'd use to describe it. It's an incredibly depressing film up until like the last 10 minutes or so. But it's worth a watch. Quite a good film. Next we have Alvin and the Chipmunks, the Squeakquel. Sort of guilty pleasure film for me. I like the first one. I like the first and the second ones. The third one, Shipwrecked, was a bit crap. Didn't really think they put as much effort into the writing. A few funny jokes, but not really as many as the first two. But this is, I remember getting this really cheaply. Like, it was like a $5 like the week after it was released, which is a bit odd. But this is one of the first Blu-rays I ever got, I think. And yeah, I wouldn't really recommend this unless you're a fan of the cartoon series from the 80s. Like, I remember loving the 80s cartoons, and that's probably why I like the live action films. But I thought it was quite funny. Next we have one of the best action films ever made, Speed, with Keanu Reeves in it. This is a very early Blu-ray, one of the first Blu-rays to be released, I think. But the transfer is very good, picture and sound quality is superb, and film is obviously an absolute classic. Definitely give it a watch if you haven't seen it already. It's on telly quite often. Next we have Iron Man 2. Can't remember whether I thought this was better than the first or not, but it's a good film, worth watching if you're a Marvel fan. It comes with 3 discs, which is a bit pointless because it's only one film. But yeah, I didn't. In fact, yeah, I think I remember thinking that the first one was better, but second one's definitely a good film as well, worth watching. Next up we have another one of the best action films of all time, Terminator 2 Judgment Day, with Arnold Schwarzenegger. This is the original release from Optimum Home Entertainment. There's a new one came out I think about 2 years ago that apparently had better sound quality but worse picture quality or something, and loads of people still say that this is the best release to get, so definitely if you want to copy this on Blu-ray, get the one with this type of cover. Next we've got a horror film from France, Martyrs, which is a very disturbing horror film from who made it? Pascal. I'm not even going to try pronouncing that, but yeah, contains sustained strong bloody violence and horror. That's definitely correct. Not one for the weak-hearted at all. Very gory and disturbing film. I think it's probably the closest I've ever come to actually turning a film off due to just being so fucked up. Definitely, if you're a horror film and you want to be disturbed, definitely give this a watch. If you're a fan of like comedies and stuff and you don't like gore, then definitely avoid this at all costs. Next up we have Liam Neeson in Unknown. It's a very similar sort of plot to Taken, sort of like Liam Neeson badass action hero, but I thought Taken was a lot better than this, but this is worth a watch anyway. I thought it was a bit too long, like, you know, which is odd because it's not actually that long. It's like, there you go, 113 minutes. It's not actually that long, but it feels really long. Like, I felt like I was in the cinema for 3 hours. So it really drags, but worth a watch as long as you can fast forward all the boring bits. Next up we have a bulletproof limited edition of The Expendables. Very fitting, seeing as the sequel comes out in less than 24 hours. I'm very excited for that. And this is a very nice sort of steelbook case here, which comes with the making of documentary, which you can't get if you didn't get the steelbook. It's an steel exclusive. So I think the cover is actually meant to go like this, like that way up, but I think it looks better going that way round. So yeah, I think you can still get this. I think it's more expensive because it's gone out of print because it's like limited edition, but you can still get it from like CEX and all them. Next we have very good film from last year, Drive, which did, I was going to say that it was underrated, but I don't think so. It did get the recognition it deserved. It's widely regarded as one of the best films of last year, and it comes in a nice pink case, which didn't actually come like that. I made it myself. I got a pink case from another film and put it on Drive because I thought, so the pink is one of the colours that runs through the film, because there you go, got pink on the cover there. So I thought it looks very cool with a pink case, and it does. So that's a nice touch that I sort of custom covered myself there. Next we have a Kill List, very mental horror film, British horror film. Really doesn't make any sense at all. You get to the end and you're just thinking, what the fuck did I just watch? This is meant to come with a Blu-ray and a DVD, but I lent the DVD to one of my mates about 6 billion years ago and he's still not watched it, so I've got to chase that up with him. Nearly getting to the end now. We've got Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex Solid State Society. The TV series Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex is probably my favourite TV series of all time. Absolutely amazing series, and this is the theatrical film based on the series. I didn't think it was quite as good as I was hoping it to be. It's not really as interesting as the TV series was. It's sort of, I don't think the storyline was that good, but it's worth watching if you enjoyed the TV series, and it does look absolutely amazing on Blu-ray. The animation on it looks great. So it's definitely worth a watch. I've said that a lot about films. Next we have another Hood, which is a comedy spoof of urban chav films like 4321 and Kiddle Hood. I thought this was a really funny film. A lot of people didn't like it because, for a start, you really need the subtitles to even understand what the hell they're saying, because I had to put subtitles on while I was watching this. I would have hated to have gone see it at the cinema. But a very funny film. It works better if you're a fan of Kiddle Hood type films, because it sort of takes the piss out of all the cliches from them. But definitely recommend that. Next we have Four Lions, filmed by Chris Marsh from The Day Today and Brass Eye, which comes in this really weird sort of book type packaging. I don't know why they've done this, it's a bit shit, but it don't even have the name of the film on the disc anywhere. So it's really weird packaging, but very funny film. Definitely worth watching if you haven't seen it. It's out on Film 4 a few times I think, so try and catch it on there. Another comedy film next, Superbad. Very funny film, of course. I didn't actually see this until recently. Like pretty much everybody in the world saw it near its release, roughly like when it first came on DVD. But I didn't actually see this film until about 3 or 4 months ago. So very funny film, I would recommend it. Another comedy next, Paul, with Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. Another funny film, not as good as Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz, I don't think, but if you're a fan of the duo, then definitely give it a watch. They're great in it, and the cover is a bit stupid, so hang on. Got another comedy next, Bridesmaids, the extended edition. I've not actually watched this on Blu-ray yet, so I don't know what's so extended about it, but this is a very funny film in the cinema. I remember quite enjoying this. It's not really your typical romantic comedy, it's more sort of Hangover style, so if you like The Hangover you'll probably like this, give it a watch. Next we've got Funny Games, which is very far from a comedy. This is a fairly disturbing horror film. It's not actually that violent, there's barely any gore or anything in it. It's mainly strong and sustained threat, humiliation and violence. It's mainly the whole threat that makes it so scary. So if you're expecting like gore, then don't really give this a watch, you're going to be disappointed. But if you want to be scared and tense, then this is definitely one to watch. Something a bit more light-hearted now, Nativity, which annoyingly the Blu-ray version here doesn't actually work in my PS3 for some reason. The console just doesn't recognise it at all, so I've got to watch the DVD. That's a bit annoying, but quite a good film. I don't think I went to see this on the cinema. I might have done, but I don't remember going to. In fact, no, I definitely didn't. I wanted to see it on the cinema, but it went off before I could catch it. So I think they're making a sequel to this. I don't really think they should get a sequel, but we'll see how that turns out. Next off, Jason Statham in Crank 2 High Voltage. Classic horror film, not horror film, action film here. It's a non-stop pure violence and gore throughout. So if you're a fan of high octane action, then definitely give this one to watch. Probably one of the best out there. Got another comedy now, Due Date, which I remember going to see in the cinema, thinking it was very funny, but I haven't seen it since then. I haven't watched it on Blu-ray or anything, so I'll give this a watch soon. I remember it being very funny on the cinema. So yeah, definitely give this a watch if you like what's he called, Robert Downey Jr. and Zach Galifianakis. I think that's how you pronounce his name anyway, I'm not sure. And finally, last but not least, we've got War Horse. Probably easily the best film I've seen this year so far. Probably maybe one of my favourite films of all time. Really loved this. And this is the Asda exclusive edition, which gets your Blu-ray and a bonus disc with 80 minutes of exclusive content. So a very good film, as I just said. Definitely worth watching if you haven't seen it, and yeah, I just can't recommend this enough. Really great film. And that's the end of the Blu-ray update finally. I'll give you an update on any new Blu-rays when I get them. I'll do another vlog soon. But in the meantime, over and out.